He said, but there was a certain rule. To be a student at this school, you had to come in at 4:30 in the morning, crack of dawn. In other words, you had to be punctual. And if you're not punctual, you will be punished. And the punishment would be a punch to your face. But just like any other rule, there was always an exception. You could escape your punishment if you could crack a clever pun that made the pundit smile. But the pundit was well known to be a very learned man. He rarely ever cracked a smile. So nobody wanted to try that. But one guy, let's call him Pankaj, decided to do exactly that. He came to school at 8 o'clock and he said, I will crack a pun before the pundit. As the entire school was watching, he stepped up before the pundit and he cracked his first pun. But unfortunately, the pundit didn't smile. He was a smart guy. He was prepared for this. He cracked a second pun. But the pundit didn't smile again. He cracked a third and a fourth and a fifth pun. But the pundit was stoic. He didn't move at all. Undisturbed, he cracked a sixth pun, a pun that had multilingual connections. No, nothing doing. He cracked a seventh and an eighth and a ninth pun. No, man, this is getting difficult. A little hot under the collar, he cracked the last pun that he had, a pun that was a form of a verse, a poem. And as you guessed it, the pundit didn't smile. Pankaj hoped that at least one pun of those 10 would make him smile. But unfortunately, no pun in 10 did. No pun intended. In other words, no pun intended. Welcome to a wonderful journey onto the pun universe. Thank you. Let me just ask you guys a question. What is a pun? What do you think a pun is? Go ahead, unmute. I'm going to call up people. What do you think a pun is? Punishment. What do you think a pun is? Go ahead, DTM Arvind. What is a pun?
Something funny?
It's a play on words.
Something funny. It's a play on words. Anything else? I saw Toastmaster Sai unmute.
Same thing, but these guys said before.
It's something funny. It's a play on words. It's usually a bad joke. I mean, jokes, the height of humor. You have the depth of humor. We crack a lot of those here in BKC Fireflies. A pun, technically, is a figure of speech. It belongs to a family of figures of speech called paranomisia. It's defined as the deliberate use of words to confuse or confound with a humorous intent to it. Wow. If you ask me, that's the worst possible definition that you can give to a pun, right? In my opinion, a pun is something like a linguistic time bomb. You throw and you wait for it to explode. It's something like a laser-guided missile. You kind of look, point, deploy, and boom, detonates. It's like a verbal hurricane, right? There are several types of puns. Let me take an example. There are about, I think, 16 different types of puns, but since we don't have time to discuss all of that, let me talk about a few key types of puns. There are homophonic puns. Homo meaning same, phonic meaning sounding similar. Words that sound similar, but are two different things. To give you an example, the very earliest example that we had, I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Isn't it? There was a movie called To Be or Not to Be. I saw this movie when I was young as DTM Arvind. And it was a musical. It was a comedy musical. It had a certain dictator in it. It was based on, obviously, Adolf Hitler. It was a musical. He had those pencil mustache. And he said that, why do people call me a dictator? I don't want war. I want only peace. I want peace, peace, and more peace. A little piece of England. A little piece of France, a large slice of Poland, and Austria by chance. Yeah, homophonic puns, words that sound similar but are totally different. Brings me to the second category of puns, homographic puns. Homo, same, graph, spelling. Words that have the same spelling but mean totally different. Something like a salesman who is not fired with enthusiasm should be fired with enthusiasm, right? A word that means bear. Bear means the animal, bhalu, right? Bear also means endure, suffer. You guys are going to bear with me for the rest of this meeting with a lot of bad jokes, all right? No escape. There are metaphorical puns. Now, those of you who attended my education sessions, please bear with me again. You would have heard this before, but here it goes. A Roman general walks into a bar. He puts up 2 fingers and he says, 5 beers, please, because 5. A man walks into a bar and he says, ow, I didn't see that bar. Who put that thing up there? Right? A bar means a rod, an iron stick. The metaphorical part of it. A perfectionist can never walk into a bar because a perfectionist sets the bar really high. There are multilingual puns, like I said. Let's take a few examples. यहाँ पे इतने बकवास जोक्स होने वाले हैं कि बंदा कि इंसान insane होने वाला है. Insan, insane. Let's improve the quality. Arvind maybe grimacing at my Hindi. Sorry for that. I'll stick to French. One man's meat is another man's poison. That's a very famous proverb. Now in French, it's going to be one man's meat is another man's poison. Poisson. It means fish. One man's meat is another man's poison. All right. Means same thing. Another one. If you had an egg for breakfast, you had enough. An of means an egg in French. So if you had an egg for breakfast, well, you had an egg. There's a very funny pun that I came across recently, last election cycle. I'm from Kerala. There are 2 words that I must teach you guys. Varu means come. Taru means give. Varu, taru, right? During election time, there was a certain poster with a certain politician, and he said, vote taru. Give me votes. The politician in question was the enigmatic Shashi Tharoor. Vote Tharoor. Right? Unfortunately, this wasn't his poster. This was a social media viral poster, but that's how a pun goes. On that note, let me kickstart the formal proceedings of the day. Toastmaster meetings, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, all Toastmasters meetings are divided into 3 key segments. The prepared speeches, the unprepared or extempore speeches, we call them table topics, and the last one, the evaluation round. There are 3 key members who would be helping me to conduct this meeting. We call them the tag team. That's a pun, by the way. It stands for timer, arc counter, and grammarian. Let me invite each of them to quickly brief us about their roles. Let me call upon the timer. That would be Toastmaster Smita to tell us about her roles.
A very good evening to one and all present over here. I am Smita Sharma from RG Orators Toastmaster Club, Jamnagar. I'm the timer for this meeting. Time is the most valuable thing in life. It has no beginning and no end. It can neither be created nor be destroyed. Time is the only dimension in which we all live our lives, and it affects everything that we do. So I would request all the members to complete their speeches on time. As timer, I will time the table topic speakers, prepared speeches, and the individual evaluators. Today we have 2 speakers. One is Dr. Saurabh Patil, whose speech duration is 10 to 12 10 to 12 minutes for speech, and for question answer segment 5 to 7 minutes. So I will show for his speech I will show green card at 10 minutes, yellow card at 11 minutes, and red card at 12 minutes, and the card will be displayed till he completes his speech. And when he starts the question answer session, and I will again flip the cards. At 5 minutes, I will show green card. At 6 minutes, I will show yellow card. And at 7 minutes, I will show the red card. And it will be there for till he speaks. And there is a leeway of 30 seconds on both sides. And for table topic speakers, the time duration is 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will show green card. At 1 minute 30 seconds, I will show yellow card. And at 2 seconds, I will show red card, and it will be there till the speaker finishes his speech. And for the evaluators, time limit is 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I will show green card. At 2 minutes, 30 seconds, I will show yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I will show red card. And red card will be there till he or she finishes his report. And there is a 30 seconds leeway on both sides for all of them. So I hope all will finish the speeches on time, and I will present my report when the evaluator will call at the end of the meeting. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Cyril.
Thank you, Smita from RG Orators, for that very detailed overview of your role. In the interest of time, let me just quickly, Mahesh, if you don't mind, I'll just quickly cover your role. The R counter of the day would be Mahesh. What an R counter does is he'll be listening very intently for all the R's, the ums, the filler words, the you knows, the I means, anything that you overuse as a crutch in your speech. Mahesh will be writing them down, and he'll be presenting his report whenever called on by the general evaluator. Coming to the third cog in the wheel, the third person in the Toastmaster Trinity, Toastmaster Sai. Toastmaster Sai, would you like to?
Yes, let me do it really quickly. The role of the grammarian is to make sure that English is used correctly. If it's used well, I'll report that. If there are mistakes people make, I'll be catching and reporting them as well. The word of the day that I've picked is spurious, which means to lack authenticity or validity in a sense or origin, not genuine, not trustworthy. Anything which indicates non-genuineness or fakeness is considered spurious. For example, spurious foods can lead to significant health hazards from everyone ranging from adults to young infants. Back to you, Cyril.
I want to ask you a question. Do you know what you call people who say that they'll use the word of the day as liars and then they go back on their word?
No, surprise me.
You call them liars.
All right, I'll give you that.
On that note, let me kickstart the first segment of the prepared speeches segment, the first segment of the Toastmaster meeting. Let me call upon Toastmaster Saran, who joins us from Somaya Toastmaster Club. And before I do that, let me call upon his evaluator, Toastmaster Niyamat. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Niyamat.
Yes. I'm sorry. Is there a matter? I tried turning on my video.
No,
Go ahead.
I made a mistake. Please go ahead, turn on your video. I was asking you to turn it on. It turned out the menu was changing.
Okay. It says I can't. Anyhow. Okay, fine. All right. Good evening, one and all. This is Toastmaster Niyamat. As in the evaluator, it is my job to ensure that I, as per my ability, take care of how well the speaker has delivered his or her speech. In this case, I'll be evaluating the speaker, Toastmaster Saran, and he'll be delivering his L2P3, which talks about mentoring in Toastmasters. And the speech will be for a period of 5 to 7 minutes. I wish him all the very best. Back to you, Toastmaster, today.
Thank you so very much. Toastmaster Saran, mentoring shapes personality and character. Mentoring shapes personality and character. Toastmaster Saran. Before you start, may I please check with you if you can see the timer screen? Toastmaster Smita's screen, it's white. 5, 6, 7, you'll find the colors turning green, yellow, and red after that. You good?
Yes,
There you
I'm
go.
able to see it.
Whenever you're ready. Toastmaster Saran, mentoring shapes personality and character. Over to you.
Before I start, I just want to make a quick confirmation whether I'm audible or not.
You're perfectly audible, perfectly visible, and we see you're movable as well.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Yeah. So mentoring envisions character and personality. That's what I'm chose my topic for L2P. So why mentoring? So ever had someone who got your back, sharing their know-hows and cheering you on as you tackle life's adventures? That's what mentoring is all about. It's like having a friendly guy by your side, helping you learn, grow, and shine. From swapping stories to passing on wisdom, mentoring like a cool friendship where you get awesome tips and encouragement to chase your dreams. So let's look into this awesome world of mentoring and see how it's all about giving and getting getting the best life as well. So everyone must have a mentor along their journey. It can be their mother, father, a family member, a teacher, or someone that is no way related to them, just but becoming a vital part of the journey. But the most beautiful concept about mentoring is the mentee is not only the person that will get benefited from this process. The mentor will also learn something from experiencing the same thing that he knew or done from a different perspective. So it's a two-way street of process of both learning to both the mentor and the mentee. Growing up, I was fortunate to have a mentor who was not only there for me, but played an instrumental role in shaping the person that I am today. My mother. My mother, a beacon of strength and wisdom, taught me the life lesson that extended far beyond the classroom or any formal setting. So before I get started with what exactly how she did, I would like to explain how my mother was, and what kind of a person she was. She was a person who was not very goal oriented, but yes, the goal ending stage was important, and she wanted to be focused on that. But more than the goal that I wanted to focus on, she always told that I should always focus more on the journey rather than the goal. So along a long 22-year-old journey that I had with her, so I didn't achieve all the things that I aimed in most times, because in life you always chose win some, lose some, and just play. So, but no more than criticizing me, she appreciated me for my efforts and supported me by just building my confidence of what just I did. Since this helped me focus way better in the next time when I achieve the same. So as the more I grew up, I started to appreciate the journey more than my goal. This made me achieve a different perspective in life than my peers, at which it didn't impart a mental stress of what will happen if I don't achieve my goal. As the only thing that mattered to me was that I put 100% into it so that I won't regret whatever the outcome that comes out. So one of the things that altered my way too much while looking things is my hobby of travel. I love to travel in any other form. It's just not consist of a road, trail, anyway. I just love to travel, but more than my just destiny, I love the traveling journey. So this by the way I was brought up, I started to appreciate more than the travel than destination. Not so as far as me, it's not traveling is not just about the travel points of the destination, not just seeing the viewpoints here, the best tourist points over there. It's about enjoying the culture. It's about embracing and experiencing a local food, not only at the destination point where you go, but also through the journey points. Like I like to give an example of how it mattered. So during my bachelor's, which happened way quite before, like I did my bachelor's from 2018 to 2022, mid-COVID. So COVID was a time which really made us miss out these things. We were all stuck in our home. We were not able to travel anywhere. We were able to constrain within four walls of our house. So when I got out of when everything kicked back to normal after 2020, fortunately I was still in my college years, and I had a good set of people who were able to travel with me everywhere I go. So The first travel, the first alone travel I had, was an accumulation of all the things that I was taught in college. The chosen destination. So the first travel place I went was a place called Aircard. It's a small hill station in Tamil Nadu. But the journey I took from my city of Chennai to Aircard was around 50 kilometers, and we went on a bike. That was one of the most beautiful journey and was one of the wonderful experience I ever had in my entire life. Because the trip didn't go exactly as planned at all. There were a lot of hardships, lot of art coming, and loads and loads and loads of memories I got captured another day, which I will cherish very, very close to my heart till this date. This not only made sure of what is not only made to strengthen the bonds with my peers that I got along the way, but also made sure that to put something interesting and enriching to my journey as well. So I feel like whatever I am now, whatever people I bonded with, the way I see things and the way I approach things are all because of the early mentoring habits my mom showcased, imparted me, which made me the person I am today. And I am always and will be grateful for that. With this, I would like to finish my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Saran. And let me give you 30 seconds for all the audience members while I'm talking to give your personal feedback to Saran by personal chat, one-on-one chat. I will wait for 30 seconds. No, I can't because we're running a little late for time. Let me call upon the next speaker, Dr. Toastmaster Saurabh Patil. And before I call him on stage, let me call upon his evaluator, Toastmaster, Dr. Toastmaster Sandhya. Wow. Toastmaster Dr. Professor Sandhya. His evaluator will come on screen as well. It's an explosion of doctors. Over to you, Toastmaster Sandhya.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Cyril. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of Toastmaster Saurabh's speech today is to practice and facilitate a Q&A session. He will be delivering an informative speech and then run a well-organized Q&A session based on that speech. He is delivering his level 4 project 2 speech, and timer, please note the time limit is 15 to 20 minutes. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
My apologies. 10, 11, and 12. Minutes 10, 11, and 12, green, yellow, and red cards for you. All right. And timing later on, Q&A is 5, 6, and 7 minutes. Same thing. Toastmaster Saurabh, procrastination. Procrastination, Toastmaster Saurabh. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Cyril. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow Toastmasters, and my fellow procrastinators. It's time to tackle the ever relatable topic, something which we dwell in our everyday life, called procrastination, with a twist of fantastic humor. We all have gathered here today to unravel the mysteries of the time thief, a crafty character who can play hide and seek with everyone and especially our productivity. Now, procrastination may seem like the elephant in the room, but let's not tire ourselves with the worry just yet. Instead, let's dig in deeper in the sneaky habit that is troubling us, like trying to catch a rare bird nation sometimes. It's something which requires a little patience and a lot of treatment to understand why we keep putting away our tasks. The art of procrastination, often, being innocently enough, it doesn't come with a strong impact. It innocently sneaks inside us. And, that happens when, you're saying, I'll do this task tomorrow, but the tomorrow doesn't come. There's so much in our minds going on, and the biggest thing that's going on in the mind is the jungle gym, where our thoughts, our distractions are swinging from one activity to another, and that's a wild dance called procrastination, which leaves us in a spin of delay, isn't it? Okay, wait. You might be thinking, what's this fun in all this conversation? Believe me, it is more like a puzzle. It's more like a puzzle, a phenomenon that, that's not just an eye roll, but yes, procrastination isn't always about sign of laziness. People mistake that procrastination is always a sign of laziness when you're pushing away the stuff or pushing away the task to perform. But sometimes, trust me, sometimes it's a brain telling us that I need a brain break. It's like our brains, talking to us internally. I need to pause in this hustle and bustle. Now, think of it as a procrast. Now, okay, when when we do have tea breaks and coffee breaks in offices, at home, in a professional life, think of it as a procrastination party where you have a chance for our minds to take a sip of some creativity or creatively brewed new ideas. Are you getting me? It will actually simplify your thoughts with something new, or rather, some innovation. In the midst of the procrastination escapades, we often stumble upon something like a beautiful thought, an innovative thought, which actually, gives us a new, totally new idea. I hope you're understanding. But beware, my dear friends and Toastmasters, for there is a thin line between the well-deserved brew tea break and the black hole that delays all your tasks and productivity. Wait, let me explain. I know it's getting heavy. Okay. So when I was talking about the thin line between this brew task, tea break, and the black hole, it's a time warp station where the hours slip by quickly in a jiffy. Like the sand in a glass, our glasses, where the sand keeps dropping quickly in no time. Before we even notice, we all become the mad hitters who are chasing behind the deadlines and running here and there to finish, just start realizing that, oh no, in this procrastination, we have lost time. But the punchline to overcome here, right now, in this procrastination, lies in finding the balloon anchor shell. Balloon anchor shell. Okay, imagine your tasks, your goals, your responsibilities are like balloons, hot air balloons, or the normal balloons. But your procrastination is trying to weigh them down like an anchor, not letting them fly. That is the area where we should definitely deliberately interfere. We should try to deliberately create a balance where, while holding to our goals and responsibilities in one place, we should be allowing, or rather, we should be letting our thoughts, our ideas, our goals, or rather, our explorative mindset float in the air. That would be not just overcoming, that would be balancing of your thought process against procrastination. One effective strategy, we're talking about procrastination, but there has to be an effective strategy to overcome or handle it. One effective strategy to unpuzzle all this tasks and breaking is what everybody tells me, even we tell in the training system. Break the task into smaller and manageable pieces. It's like solving a big jigsaw puzzle, where every piece of the puzzle counts, because when they join together, it has to form a big picture, the big why, or the clarity of thoughts. They create a mastermind or a masterpiece, sorry. All the jigsaw puzzles joined together creates a masterpiece. We all know the famous saying, Rome was not built in a day. and neither are our procrasticastles. Another way of defeating procrastination is accountability. Find a partner in procrastination, someone who will nudge you in the right direction, and someone will encourage you. Someone will, sometimes it just takes a friendly reminder that says, hey, you've got this. For example, this is my first speech today, where I was using fun, and I deliberately chose because we had the same thing in our fun in our meeting today. And I was very nervous. I'm still nervous. How am I going to do it? Especially an informative speech with the question answer session. When I shared with my fellow Toastmasters, imagine what they said. You can do it, sort of. Go for it. You listen. And that's what actually, gave me the confidence to stop my procrastination and continue with my speech in a positive way. But let's not be harsh on ourselves. Let's not be too hard on ourselves. We do that a lot of times when we come out of the procrastination for the deadlines. Always, try to simplify things or simplify things, as I mentioned, because we all are humanitarians. Acknowledging our procrastination tendencies is the first step, I must tell you, towards reigniting control of our time. Embrace the quirks of your procrastination to learn and thirdly, accept the progress. In conclusion, let's embrace the humorous side of procrastination while taking it seriously enough to challenge ourselves. We all have the power to become the procrastinators and procrastinizers at the same time. By finding the right balance, mark my words, by finding the right balance, we can navigate the procrastination waters and sail towards more fulfilling, accomplished future. Now, that's all I say before I close my speech. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in this fun-filled procrastination. Let's pause for a minute. Break the chains of delay. Seize the day like procrastinators and smile on our faces. Together, we can. Trust me, together we can overcome this procrastination wisely and live a fantastic life. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Timer Smitha, please start the 5 minutes time for questions. We will take any questions from audience members. It need not restrict itself to speech content that Saurabh had, but anything on procrastination that you had to talk to Saurabh about, go for it. Toastmaster Sai, I see your hand raised.
Yes, Dr. Saurabh, my question was, you say that procrastination, we want to overcome it, but do you see a room for procrastination as a way to decompress? Is it possible to say, you know what, I'm going to actually procrastinate because it gives me some time to myself?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Toastmaster President Sai. Yes, it does. In my speech, if you remember, I had mentioned that when you talk about procrastination, it's a signal from a brain that it needs a break. It needs a break from the hustle and bustle to take a pause. When I meant pause, it was the pause as well. So sometimes when you're too involved or too caught up in any schedule, it's always a signal, not necessarily a laziness, but a signal to take a break, do some introspection, or shift away from the heavy task. I hope that answers your question, Sai.
Yeah, another question from Toastmaster Sumeet.
Yeah, hi. My question is this. When it is a work-related task, I never procrastinate. For my own task, I will always procrastinate. If I have to go to the bank, let's say, for a work-related task, I will go. Otherwise, my wife will keep pushing me, keep kicking me, and I will not. So why is it that I procrastinate on my own tasks? Thanks.
That is very interesting. I think we all face that, Toastmaster Sumit, in our daily lives. Very true, very true. We all have this deadline at the back of our head when it comes to professional tasks. So even if we want to, or even if we need a break, we involuntarily perform it with some fear or some incentive or some deadline which keeps hovering over us. But there are sometimes we do take things too lightly, considering that they're not so important. You know, we may fail to prioritize things. For us, sometimes personal work, or the report related to the house may not be so important compared to the work that we do in our offices. So it's all about the priorities. The lesser any task which has a lesser priority, might face a lot of procrastination. I hope that answers your question, Toastmaster Sumeet. Thank you.
Toastmaster Jyoti.
Yeah, hi. Whenever we procrastinate, we have such kind of regret, or say we found ourselves trapped into a chain of guilt. So how can we treat that procrastinate guilt into procrastinate guilt, so that we are not into those regrets and we can actually enjoy those breaks when we are procrastinate?
Very, very good question, Toastmaster Jyoti. That's so true. In my speech, I had also mentioned, or rather, let me tell you something. When we procrastinate, considering we need a break or a short break. For example, if anybody wants to take a break and looks into social media, we do look in. Some people do like some cat videos. Some people do like some memes or videos, and we are so lost into that. As I mentioned, time flies like the sand in an hourglass, and we lose touch of time. And then suddenly we are hard pressed to achieve the target because we don't hardly have any time. So that's happened when we are too much pressed with the task and we take a break without, managing the time for the break. What we could do is have a specific intervals. First, you break down the task in smaller uh, milestones. Then, at the same time, have intervals for the break as well, short intervals, where you know that this is the break time, and now I have to overcome the break time and again move on to the task. If you have enough break times in between, with the right intervals or time slots allotted to yourself, you may not end up wasting too much time unknowingly in the break and then running behind the task like a mad hatchet.
In the interest of time, I'm going to take one last question from Toastmaster Mahesh.
Yeah, thank you. Just there are two parts of the question. First is, if I talk of myself, I never procrastinate, but because of that, sometimes I get stressed. So any balancing act is wise or not? And second thing, my children always procrastinate 100% times. I have to force many times. So that also I'm not able to control the two opposite behaviors in the same family. So there are the two parts.
I can understand, Vash. I can understand. By the way, before I answer your question, Toastmaster Mahesh, welcome to BKC Fireflies. Let me welcome you. So, we people who don't procrastinate, or people don't, or rather, let me put it this way: people who don't take breaks are obviously overstressed because they continuously keep going. As I mentioned in my speech, sometimes procrastination is a signal by our brain that I need a pause from the hustle and bustle. So it's better to take short intervals of break in between the tasks. We may not realize it. We may feel the energy very high, and we may think of outperforming everyone and finish the task before time. But it may become a bit stressful or anxious for the brain. So it's advisable to take a break, even if you're high on energy, even if you think you can finish ahead of time. So that would, it's like refreshing your computer. You know, you may think that it's going good, but at the back of the computer, it's getting heated or overheated. So it's okay to keep refreshing it in between taking a break. And yes, to your second question, that completely opposite behavior in the family. Kids do procrastinate. I'm not sure why, but there are a lot of reasons for that. Maybe you can incentivize them to perform with some or the other favorite rewards that they might like. Eventually, it may seem a bit difficult in the beginning. Eventually, when they start performing, when they start seeing the results, they on their own might, reduce the procrastination and get into the act. So that is one thing you can try. I hope that answers everyone's question. I see a red light.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Saurabh. Procrastination is one topic that everybody has got a problem with. And thank you so much for taking us through procrastination and giving us time. On that note, let me call upon the next person who will chair this meeting. That would be Toastmaster Sumeet Arya, who shall be the table topics master. Over to you, Toastmaster Sumeet.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, coming to the most sought after section of the Toastmasters meeting. And I want you to bring the genuine you and the spurious you out here in the open. Thank you very much. And I want you guys to think on your feet. All right. So I've been told that there are people, some who are slightly new to the format and some are slightly old, and we are running out of time. So quickly, one hand raise and I will start. The first one. Otherwise, I'll just pick up myself. Okay, Jyoti it is. Jyoti, how long have you been with the format?
Well, it has been 4 months since I've joined Toastmasters. So yes.
Okay, very good. So pick up a number between 1 and 5. Pick up a number quickly.
3.
3 it is. And your topic, I am not lazy. I am on energy saving mode. Toastmaster Jyoti. Toastmaster Jyoti, I am not lazy. I am on energy saving mode. Over to you. 132. Go.
Raise your hands if you feel whenever you are relaxing, you are actually being lazy. Well, I always felt whenever I'm relaxing on mornings, I am being lazy and not being productive or focusing on my studies. But now I have realized that it is not about the journey. It's not about the destination, but it is about the journey. So I am on an energy saving mode where I'm taking the time to smell the roses. I'm taking the time to be the one who understands the joy of little things. I am taking the time to sit near the window, grab the cup of coffee and enjoy those rains. I'm taking the time to be with my loved ones. Although I am on a high energy mode, but I'm taking the time to save my energy because this is the energy saver mode, which will give me the energy to bounce back and be the best whenever I am on the working mode. Over to you. Thank you.
Well done, Toastmaster Jyoti. All right. So do we have, okay, I see a hand raised. It is Toastmaster of the day, Cyril. Is that your hand which was up?
No, I was clapping.
Clapping. All right. Anybody else? Quickly. Do I see a hand up? Okay. There's someone whose name rhymes with my wife's and Toastmaster Meenakshi. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, how long with the format?
Almost 9 months now.
Almost 9 months. Okay, for you also choose a topic. Choose one topic between 1 and 5. 3 is already taken.
I would go with the number 2.
With the number 2. Okay, here we go. If I ran like I speak, I would be in a good shape. Toastmaster Meenakshi. Toastmaster Meenakshi, if I ran like I speak, I would be in a good shape. Over to you.
Definitely, friends. I would be a model if I can speak the way if I can run at the speed I speak, because my tongue is very fast. I always get to listen, please control your speaking. But oh God, how can I do that? I don't have any control. Tongue is the only organ which doesn't have any bone. And so I have no control over it. But I wish only if I could also run at the pace, it would make me more slimmer and make me look better. But I also think that these thoughts are spurious ones, because one needs to control their speech also and their exercise also to be in shape. That's all from my end. Thank you, and over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Meenakshi. The joke which came to my mind was, why is it called the mother tongue? Because never heard dad speak. That was the pun intended. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Meenakshi. Okay, let me pick up someone.
That was the best I could give.
All right. So let me get someone else. Okay, Ansh. I see one name. Ansh. Are you there, Ansh?
Ansh is a guest.
Ansh is a guest. All right. But okay. All right. Okay. Then okay. Reshma Anand. Reshma Anand, are you there? Okay, let me invite the guys who have joined in today. Why not? Bhuvi. Yeah, I heard that you spoke very well last time. So let's get you onto the mat now. Bhuvi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Bhuvi Gupta. All right. So while you are new, but you are also a veteran. So I heard, and choose a number between 6 and 10.
Okay, 7.
7. 7 it is, and this is the topic for you. I used to think I was indecisive, but now I'm not too sure. Toastmaster Bhuvi. I used to think I was indecisive, but now I'm not too sure. Over to you.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow Toastmasters. This is my first Toastmasters meeting, or is it? Because, my topic is, I used to think I was indecisive, but now I am not so sure. Now, this holds true because, despite, I am indecisive, but I'm also a procrastinator. So basically what I often wonder is that, is this indecision an inability to take a decision, or is it in fact procrastination, which is, delaying it? Or rather than procrastination, do I also think, is it perfectionism? Because I justify to myself that, I procrastinate because I want to take the best possible decision. And if I need to take the best possible decision, I need to evaluate all the pros and cons. To evaluate all the pros and cons, I need a significant amount of information. And to gather that significant amount of information, I basically need time. So am I really somebody who is indecisive, a procrastinator, or just a perfectionist? I leave you all with that thought. So thank you.
Well done. Well done, Bhuvi. Okay. So next I see a guy who is staring and glaring into his screen, and that guy is Anirudh. Yes, you're looking surprised. Yeah, the smile is there. All right. So Anirudh, how long have you been with the Toastmasters?
About 4 years now.
Oh, you are the old moth. You're no longer the firefly. All right. So between 6 and 10, 7 is already taken. Over to you. Choose a pick.
10.
10. All right. 10 it is. Okay, this is a good one. Okay. The more you weigh, the harder you are to be kidnapped. Toastmaster Anirudh. Toastmaster Anirudh, the more you weigh, the harder you are to be kidnapped. So over to you.
I recently saw a video, and there are so many of these on the internet these days about Asian parents and Asian kids. And I found one very, very funny. There was this Asian dad whose son had been kidnapped. And he was very bulky and he was very healthy, as we all like to say. And the person who kidnapped called the dad and asked for ransom. And the video starts with, never call an Asian dad for kidnapping. The Asian dad picked up and he said, yes, hi, I have your son. Give me $10,000 right now. Oh, you have my son, is it? Okay, I'll give it to you for $20,000. The kidnapper was shocked. Here I am asking you to give me money and you're offering me money to take your own kid. Asian dad replies, yeah, he no good in math, English very poor. My other child, he's already selected in Harvard. I think our name will do for the household. You can take him. The kidnapper was again shocked. He said, did I take the wrong kid? No, I don't want. You can take him back. He said, no, I will. You know what? You can take him 20,000. I'll give you money. And but there are a lot of expenses. There are his gym classes, his piano lessons, his English lessons, and all of that you will have to pay for yourself. The kidnapper calculated that it would be much more expensive for him to keep than ask for ransom, and he quickly returned the kid. And that's what I would leave you all with today.
Right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Anirudh. Just reminds me of something. The credit card got stolen and the guy didn't report. Why? Because the thief was spending lesser than his wife. He said, let him keep it. Let him keep it. All right. I think we have time for one last topic. And do we have a volunteer? All right. Niyamat was one whose name was figuring in and out and in and out. So Niyamat, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Between 1 and 5, 2, 3 already taken. Let's see what you pick.
That you've not left me much choice. So 4.
4. Okay, 4 it is. He who laughs last didn't get the joke. Toastmaster Niyamat. Toastmaster Niyamat. He who laughs last didn't get the joke.
It's never fun to be put on the spot, but here goes. I'm known for my humor. I don't know if that's a good thing. I like to take it in my stride and wing it. Many times when we were sitting in our home and sitting at the dinner table and having just a regular conversation, and it's my mom and my sisters, and we can go on and on about maybe just the weather or complaining about how the maids have much more important discussions than we do, or how our neighbors love making noise and ensuring us that, yes, they are alive. Amidst all of these, when I'm cracking a joke, and very much pun intended, I do crack jokes like that, I have tried and failed when I try to crack a joke and hope for my mother to get it in the first go. And it gets embarrassing sometimes because she has this wonderful ability to crack or understand my joke a little ahead of the time when it's already done with. So say I've cracked a joke, I've spoken about something, I have made fun of something, and we're all having a hearty laughter. And then she's looking at around us a little quizzically. And that's when she's realized, oh, that's where the joke is. And then she laughs. That's not even that bad a thing. The worst thing is when she cracks a joke at the most inappropriate times. And for a person who is supposed to be very sensible, very mature, it comes across as, yes, a sad surprise that sometimes she cracks a joke at the most inopportune times. So yeah, I would say that having the last laugh is a good thing, but when it's at a joke, it can be counterintuitive. So I don't think I made a great attempt at this, but thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster, and back to you.
Good, Niyamat. A very good attempt, I would say. All right. I think we might have run out of time, but do we have time for one small one? No? Okay. Sai is shaking his head. So I think that is all from my side. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Without wasting even a second, let me kickstart the third segment of Toastmaster meeting, which is the evaluation round. And leading the evaluation round is distinguished Toastmaster Arvind Nair, who is looking very, very undispleased. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Cyril. My task is to keep my eyes open to ensure there's nothing spurious going on in this Toastmasters meeting, so that I can keep the members and the role players' eyes open as well to all that I have to say towards the end of this. And let's start with the evaluation. We'll start with the evaluation of the prepared speeches. And for that, as the timer has already said, the timing, I would like to repeat, it's 2 to 3 minutes. At 2, the timer would display the green screen. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the screen would change to yellow. And at 3, the screen would change to red. The evaluator has 30 seconds grace before the green and after the red to conclude the speech. So let's go ahead, and may I invite the first evaluator, Niyamat, to present the speech, to present the evaluation of the speech that was delivered by Cyril. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, one and all, and a special good evening to the speaker today, Toastmaster Cyril. Firstly, congratulations on your delivery. I think it was a beautiful speech. As my role as an evaluator, I will try to highlight the points that I think that you did well on. At the same time, trying to emphasize on the points that you can work on to make your speech a little better and hopefully take it to the next level. All right, so let's begin with the pluses. You spoke about mentoring and how mentoring shapes performance and character. So I think when it comes to trying to achieve what the purpose of the speech was, I think that was on point. You were supposed to talk about mentoring and effectively understand what a mentor does or how a mentor contributes to one's life. You chose your mom as a mentor, and you, I would say, sprinkle your speech with anecdotes of how time and again with different life principles, she acted as a mentor. And I think that's a wonderful way of ensuring that the audience understands how important that mentor is in your life. Steven Spielberg said, the delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in their own image, but giving them an opportunity to create themselves. Naturally, a parent cannot be replaced, and a parent is always special. And a parent acting as a mentor is, I would say, it's like a mighty feathers in one's cap. I mean, you wouldn't ask for more. So I think that using that metaphor of your mom being your mentor did a fantastic job, because we understood how important that person is in your life. Now, although you spoke of a lot of wonderful things that that person gave and a lot of life principles that they infuse in your life, I did feel that there are ways in which you can make your speech delivery better. Firstly, I request you to look at the camera. Look at us, at the audience, because we need to know that you are actually talking to us. You're connected to us. As much as you were connected to the words and the thoughts of your speech, if I want to be connected to you, you have to look at me. So I think that is one important attribute that you must include. Secondly, I feel that there was certain background noise which made it difficult for me to catch every word you were saying. Maybe that's something that you could work on. And lastly, certain places, again, that could be maybe because of a bad technical issue, that I couldn't hear the ending of every sentence. Again, something that you could be a little more, you could emphasize on that much. Apart from that, I love the principles. I love the traveling journey. I like that in life, how you've infused those principles and they made you a better person. So I wish you all the very best in your future speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Nia. Now may I invite Sandhya to present her evaluation of the speech delivered by Cyril.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, General Evaluator, for giving me this opportunity, and a special good evening to my target speaker, Toastmaster Saurabh. Taking a cue from your speech, I'm not going to procrastinate a lot and jump directly to the feedback that I have for your speech. The objectives for your speech, Toastmaster Saurabh, were primarily two. One was to deliver a speech that was informative, and two was to facilitate a question and answer session. So my feedback is also broken into these two pieces: how you delivered the speech and how you facilitated the Q&A session. When it comes to delivering the speech, I thought you excelled at it. Your gestures were extremely good. You had very good pauses. You seemed extremely comfortable with interacting with the audience. You had questions like, hey, do you agree with this? Do you know, have you thought of this, etc., which made the audience engage with your speech. I also liked a number of metaphors that you used while delivering your speech. For example, the balloon, that tasks are like balloons. The example of a jigsaw puzzle, that we need to break up tasks and then solve them so that they don't get procrastinated. Your play on words, I know that you tried this for the first time, playing on words and sticking with the theme of the meeting, and I think you excelled at that as well. Coming to the question and answer session, what I liked the most was your acknowledgement of each and every person who asked the question. For example, when Toastmaster Mahesh asked the question, you first congratulated him on being a new Toastmaster and joining BKC Fireflies, and then you answered his question. Similarly, when Toastmaster Sumeet asked his question, you first acknowledged that it was a very interesting question, something that was relatable, and then went on to answer the question. So that showed in general your comfort level with the audience. Now coming to the recommendations that I have. Primarily, again, I have two recommendations, and I would break that into the Q&A session and the speech. Coming to the speech, I thought you could have done a little better with organizing the speech. So for example, you could have started with asking the audience, hey, when did you last procrastinate a task? So that everybody is with you listening to the speech, you catch their attraction right at the beginning. Then you could have started with, which you did, talk about procrastination, the pros and cons of it, which you did very well, but also add a personal story to it. When was that time when you procrastinated, and what were the lessons you learned through procrastination? That would have given the audience a story to listen to and something relatable to stick to. Finally, you could have ended with the lessons. And like you did, you highlighted it a little bit, but it could have done a little bit more by talking about both the pros and cons of procrastination. Finally, coming to the Q&A, this is where I thought that you could have done a little better. Ideally, the objective of the speech was for you to facilitate the Q&A session and not the Toastmaster of the day. So once you finish the speech, you should have ideally asked the audience, okay, now the floor is open to questions, and then ask each person, see who is asking a question, and ask them to put up their question and answer, and not had the Toastmaster of the day do this for you. So that is one important recommendation I would give you, because that would also show us how you have managed your time between the speech and the Q&A session. But overall, I think it was a great speech. Congratulations on finishing level 4. And we look forward to listening to your speeches from level 5 and finishing your pathway. All the best. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandhya. Now I invite the timer to give the timing reports for the various sections.
Once again, a very good evening to all of you. First, I come to prepare the speakers. Both the speakers were qualified for polling. Toastmaster Saran took 5 minutes, 33 seconds, and 81 milliseconds. Toastmaster Saurabh took 10 minutes, 10 seconds, and 20 milliseconds. And the question answer session was of 7 minutes, 24 seconds, 36 milliseconds. Now we come to table topic speakers. Toastmaster Jyoti took 1 minute, 4 seconds, 55 milliseconds. Toastmaster Meenakshi took 59 seconds and 56 milliseconds. Toastmaster Bhuvi took 1 minute, 22 seconds, 33 milliseconds. Toastmaster Anirudh took 1 minute, 51 seconds and 8 milliseconds. Toastmaster Niyamat took 1 minute, 56 seconds and 10 milliseconds. Now I come to evaluators. Toastmaster Niyamat took 3 minutes, 14 seconds and 49 milliseconds. And Toastmaster took Sandhya took 4 seconds, 4 minutes, 2 seconds and 11 milliseconds. I think Toastmaster Sandhya is not qualified for voting.
Thank you, Smita.
And over to you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Arvind.
Thank you, Smita. Now, may I invite the R counter to give the report for this meeting.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving the opportunity and good evening all. So regarding our counter, it reminds me of a very good saying that you cannot improve which you cannot measure. So measurement is compulsory if you want to improve something. So, but you need to ensure that you remove the spurious data before analyzing that information. So here are the results and keep your heart in control. Yeah. So Toastmaster Smita used long pauses for 3 times, repeated phrases for once, filler words for twice. Toastmaster Saran used long pause for once, repeated phrases for twice, and sentence beginners twice. Toastmaster Niyamat used long pauses twice, repeated phrases once, and sentence beginners once. And Toastmaster Saurabh used repeated phrases 3 times and filler words 3 times. Yes, and rest of the speakers used the crutch words less than 3 times. So that's a good part. So that's all regarding my appraisal for this counter. Thank you very much once again for giving the opportunity.
Thank you, Mahesh. And now may I invite our grammarian side to present the report.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the data which is completely non-spurious. Actually, let me give you an example of spurious data. Everybody used the word of the day spurious, but that's spurious data. The people who did were Sumeet, Meenakshi, and Arvind. If I missed anyone, I'm really sorry. And let me get to the good usage of the English language. I liked the phrases like got your back, you win some, you lose some. Exploratory mindset was great. Mark my words, which is a great way to say, to draw attention to something that somebody's saying. Sprinkle throughout the speech. That's again a very evocative and memorable, visually memorable way of saying that things have been dropped all over the speech. Taking the cue is another nice example of a visual description. And somebody used the word metaphor to explain the speech patterns that a particular speaker used. So I think these were really excellent words and choices of words. I didn't see too many grammar mistakes. I didn't hear too many grammar mistakes, and don't think there were any. So good job everyone on managing your grammar really well. With that, back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sai. And now for the general evaluation of today's meeting. The meeting began on time at 6:30 with the Sergeant at Arms coming in to open the meeting. I would request the Sergeant at Arms to avoid short forms and every member to understand that we do not use SAR or TMOD or GE or TTM at the meeting. We must remember that we may have guests here and it's advisable to use the full form. Please avoid the short forms. We started with the ground rules and also stated the mission. The Sergeant at Arms did have a few words for the presiding officer, though it wasn't mentioned as the presiding officer. I wish you could have said he is the presiding officer, because whoever comes next, whether he's the president or the next of the ExCom, whoever comes in, is the presiding officer. It would have been nice if you had mentioned that as the presiding officer. The presiding officer, I love the way you started by saying how many have you have renewed before the 31st, and that was quite a motivational thing for the others to do, to understand as well. You spoke about the 3 S's: speed, sports, sales. That was great alliteration there. I'd love if you stated, the presiding officer, it's good, or rather, the presiding officer needs to open the meeting. So it would be nice if you said, I declare meeting number 118 open. You also, very colloquially, we use the word y'all. In English, there's no word as y'all, and you apostrophe LL does not go as a short form for you all. It has to be said as you all and not y'all. That's very colloquially when we speak that, and in a public speaking forum like this, we like to be more precise. You said there were guests and you wanted to introduce the guests, but though they were members who were being inducted, there were a couple of guests, but I did not see that the guests were asked to introduce themselves. Well, that could be done. And I did see a different way, though it's advisable or it's mentioned by Toastmasters International that you are supposed to vote the member in. Rather, I would have loved if you could have done it internally, as in passed a little bio, a CV to your members and had got the approval from them before the meeting, because when you say induction, it's a different thing as far as Toastmasters is concerned. You actually ask the person to raise his hand or put his palm on his heart, and then you give the promise. Now, a member, when he joins, needs to take the promise. And it's very important that he or she understands what the promise is all about. So that's what induction would be. I would have loved that. If I could have, I would have loved to see that, and we could have avoided going overtime, because as you well know that Toastmasters lays great emphasis on time. And so we went, and we are going overboard. The Toastmaster of the day, well, the presiding officer did introduce Toastmaster Day. Wonderful theme for today, and began with a wonderful story. And I thought, am I being punished for this? Or all the attendees being punished? Because it was just pun, pun, pun. But well, he took some time before he actually went into what puns are all about and gave us a wonderful explanation with great examples as well. When you are talking about the evaluator, please say the speech is being evaluated and not his speaker, his evaluator. It can't be his evaluator. We are not evaluating the person, but we are evaluating the speech. So please, let's avoid doing that. I must say there was a lot of puns and explanations given. A good job. Timer, please avoid giving us the timing, the description of what time is all about. Just get straight into the script, because every member, every role player has only 30 seconds to talk about their script. Do not go beyond that. And we have to be careful. We are not displaying cards, we're displaying a screen. So we have to be careful about that. We may avoid milliseconds here because it's nothing to do with the contest. So even at the contest, they don't take milliseconds. So avoid milliseconds. And I would love that the timer only mentions at every segment what the timing is, rather than giving all three timings for each section. Because if there are guests here, we really don't know what, they wouldn't understand what it is all about. The R-Counter, Mahesh, I think you're taking up the role for the first time. And I wish it was given, the script was given to him before, and he was made aware of what it is, so that he could have said things properly. You need to just get into this, you just need to get into your report and not give your opinion of what R-Counter is, etc. Grammarian, great task as usual, and a spurious word that you use. Toastmaster, the table topic master, we were running late. Now, please understand, all of us should understand that the agenda was posted in the group, and we know when we have to begin and end. So there's no point in asking if there's more time for one or two extra topics. We must look at the time, and that's why we have an agenda for every meeting. So great. Those are as far as the role players are concerned. The general thing is, we are all Toastmasters. We are not one and all or everyone. We are Toastmasters. So let's address as saying, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. There was something that said outcome that comes out. Well, whatever comes out is an outcome. So it should be just outcome and not extended to that comes out. The pronunciation I heard was innocently, and I think it should be innocently. We may avoid saying much more. It's just either much or more. So those were a few of the things that I found today. Thank you. We're running late. Over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so very much, DTM Arvind. It's a pleasure having you. We wish that we could keep on listening to this for longer, which means we've done a lot more things. If there is anything more that you have not mentioned, please give it to us later as XCOM. We do take your suggestions very seriously, and we try to improve it. You're going to be a member again. You're going to be an attendee once again in another 2 months. And I have made a note of everything that you said. Please do evaluate us at that point of time as well, and let us know how we did. Thank you very much. Let me quickly bounce over to the presiding officer of the day, Toastmaster Sai.
And wait for him to finish. Yes, we're running really late. I need to quickly launch the polls. And I am actually going to close the meeting while the polls are in progress, because we have a little bit of business to attend to, because if we have a very special guest attending the meeting along with us. So here come the polls. And once the polls launch, I call this meeting to a close and I'll announce the results after that. And while you guys are voting on the results of this meeting, I'm going to call up the man who is now directing all of us in our area, our area director, Toastmaster Anirudh, who's also an excellent and a very well-read, looks like he loves watching Asian documentaries. Looks like he's that kind of a person. He's the person taking charge of the meeting from this point onwards. It's now in his court what he wants to do with us. Toastmaster Anirudh, over to you.
Hello all. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sai, for the lovely introduction. Hello all. So for all the members and the guests, a brief introduction about myself and why I'm here attending this very meeting. So I am officially the area director of S4. Now, what that means is every Toastmasters club is divided into certain areas. The areas are then clubbed under a division, and the division it then falls under a district. So we're all of us here are part of District 98. The division stands with alphabetical letters, so it's division S. And there are 4 areas in this division. So out of that, we are area number 4. This is purely informational. The idea to have this hierarchy in Toastmasters is mainly for streamlined communication